Probably the most important bill would be the working lands bill, which is not going in the House. It's designed to preserve habitat for wildlife into the future from development, and some of those areas where there's big game migration routes and other things are very important. And you know, we built a highway from east of Burley to Snowville, Utah one time, and we disrupted a migration route of a mule deer herd over there. 70% of that mule deer herd disappeared as a result of that highway. That's the effect you can have when you disrupt a migration route. So if we put a development in a key area, that has a big impact. And so we're trying to preserve things like that, as well as riparian habitats and other things.
So how would creating the commission change things?
By coming up with some kind of a funding mechanism to pay landowners in lieu of allowing development to leave their land as a working land or ranch, then that area where the animals use now would be intact, and the animals would continue to use those migration routes, for example, or they would continue to use the riparian areas. And we're concerned that there are going to be housing developments and so on in those key areas, which was disrupt normal and traditional wildlife use patterns.
And is there a reason why that hasn't gotten traction in the House then?
Well, they tried to run it in the House several times, and with various tax incentives involved. For example, property tax credits and so on and so forth. So I think the House is, even though the bill we have this year doesn't have any funding attached to it, it just sets up a mechanism. Probably the House feel like it's an end run around it by running it from the Senate, but it's a different bill. It's not a tax bill anymore. It's just a mechanism to set up funding for working lands and ranches initiative. So we'll see where that goes next year. You know, they've been at it for several years, and the reason that's important, again, because long term it protects key areas for wildlife from development. That's why it's important.